What's up, everyone? Welcome to a whole new week. Happy Monday. I hope that you are coming off of a great weekend where you got to spend time with loving, caring people and doing the types of activities that caused you to have some rest from last week, inspired you for the next week, and I hope you're at the very beginning of a week that will be the best week of your life. This week, we're going to be talking about taking initiative and the importance of taking initiative. And in today's episode, I'm going to talk to you about the very first time I remember taking initiative and the incredibly important lesson I learned from doing that. So welcome back to the Aha Moments, where every day I share the lessons I've learned in my work as a psychotherapist and in my life to inspire you to live your very best life. Of course, I'm your host, Elliott Connie. And listen, I've got several degrees and pretty cool professional career, but I'm going to admit something to you that for a really long time was like the Elliott Connie dirty secret, which is I was not a very good student in the beginning of my academic life. I'm talking about like high school and beginning of college. I learned, and one of the reasons I wasn't a very good student was my father was so overwhelmingly controlling and abusive even, that I wasn't really going to school for my learning or to do something on my own. I was going to school to appease him. So in middle school and in high school, I didn't really care what I learned. I didn't really care about my grades. I just wanted to get the kind of grades that would not have me getting in trouble. That changed when I was in college. And I remember I had an opportunity to take a trip to visit a friend of mine in Philadelphia. So I had a really good friend who, at this time I was going to college in Texas. I just moved to Texas. One of my really good friends from high school went to Villanova University. His name was Scotty. We call him Kitty. His last name was Kittredge, so we called him Kitty. Scotty was going to school in Villanova in Philadelphia. And I was super homesick living in Texas. And my aunt was going to Philadelphia for a work trip and said, you can come with me. I'll use my miles. Won't cost you anything, but you can come with me to Philadelphia. At the time, I had no money, so an opportunity to go visit my boy and not pay any money was huge, like massive. So I agreed. And I went to one of my teachers and told them, I want to take this trip. And I'll never forget, the teacher said to me, you're a really good student and you're a smart person. To this day, I don't know why she called me a good student, because at the time, I don't think I was. And she said, I wouldn't trust a whole lot of students to do it, but if you're willing to do it, you're going to miss a week. So that's 3 classes. If you're willing to go, okay, enjoy your trip. And I said, will you record? And this is before like cell phones and all that crazy stuff. I had this sound recorder. I said, will you record the 3 classes that I miss? And she said, I'll only do it if you promise to use it. And I said, yes. I gave her the recording. She recorded the 3 classes. And when I got home, I sat and listened. Each class was 50 minutes. I sat and listened to 3 hours of content. I read everything. At the time, I was sharing a bedroom with my younger brother. And I remember sitting in the hallway of this super small apartment that me, my younger brother, and my mom were living in. Las Casitas townhomes in DeSoto, Texas. That's where we were living. And I was sitting in the hallway using the hallway light because I couldn't study in the bedroom because it would wake up my brother. And I got an A in that class. I remember to this day how good it felt. It was the first time I put in the work, and it wasn't to appease my father. It was like, this is my grade and I get to be proud of it. Like, this is my grade and I get to celebrate that. Like, I just did that. Like, I just did this. And I learned 2 really important things. I learned that I had capability. Like, when I put forth the effort, I get an outcome that is positive. And I also learned that it doesn't happen by accident. Like, I have to put forth the effort. You can't fake your way through it. You can't pretend. You have to like do something to get the positive outcome. And it really changed my experience. I honestly think from that point forward, my GPA was like a 4.0 or close to it. But prior to that, my GPA all through my entire education was probably like a 2.4. But that moment really shifted things, because I realized I've got potential, I've got capacity, I've got skills. And when I apply those skills, the outcome is something I can be really proud of. The outcome is really positive. And it helped me commit to applying those skills more consistently. And that meant everything for the rest of my life. And I want you guys to think about that. Like, when was the first time you applied your own skills and you took initiative to do something? And sometimes we take that for granted because, like, in my experience, I came from a difficult childhood, so I learned it a little bit late. I was 18, 19, 20 years old, whatever age I was. But don't take it for granted. I want you to think, when did you learn if I apply myself, if I do something and take initiative, the outcome could be really, really positive. And just think about what that was for you. So thank you for being here, man. I love you guys so much for allowing me to spend some time with you this Monday morning. Please help me reach more people. And I'm not just asking, like, I really want to reach people, and I cannot do that without your help. So please hit that share button and share this podcast on your social media platforms, or even with one person in your life for whom you think this would make a difference. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. You can do that wherever you enjoy listening to your podcast, wherever you're listening to this podcast now, whether it's Apple, Spotify, Simplecast, wherever you enjoy listening to podcasts, just go ahead and subscribe. You can even become a VIP listener by becoming a Patreon subscriber, and then you'll get bonus episodes each week, and you'll also get transcriptions from each and every episode. Thanks so much for being here. Love you guys. See you tomorrow. Here in America, it is election day, and we have our midterm elections. We're electing governors and other public officials, and it has me thinking about the importance of taking initiative and the kind of initiative that helps the community, the kind of initiative that makes a difference in your world, as well as the importance of voting. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. So welcome back to the Aha Moments, where every day I share the lessons I've learned in my work as a psychotherapist and in my life to inspire you to live your very best life. Of course, I'm your host, Elliott Connie. So voting is one of the most powerful things you can do to make a difference in your community. I was recently watching a documentary about the American Civil Rights Movement, and one civil rights leader said, the ballot is more powerful than the bullet, but if you don't use the ballot, you'll have to use bullets. And it got me to thinking, like, so many people have gone through so many hardships to earn the right to vote, like the women's suffrage movement and the American Civil Rights Movement and so on and so on. And the reason it's so important is because in order to contribute to how your community and society goes, you have to have a voice. And for so long, so many people were denied a voice. And voting is your ability to use your voice in the community to make a difference in this world. You know, I think about the people that inspire me, and I think about the people that touch me, and they're people that have done something to make their community a better place. And a lot of times, they're people that, like, they don't even know the lives that they're touching. You know, when I was a kid, I grew up loving baseball. I grew up desirous of playing baseball. My biggest dream was to become a professional baseball player. And something that happened 50 years prior is what allowed me to have that dream. Jackie Robinson breaking the color barrier in Major League Baseball, becoming the first Black Major League Baseball player, allowed me to dream bigger dreams. And he did that on purpose. He did that knowing it was going to be hard. He did that knowing he was going to suffer. He did that so that young kids like me 50 years later could dream about a day when I could become a professional baseball player. I think about Nelson Mandela, who spent 27 years in prison just trying to have Black South Africans have the same rights as everyone else in South Africa. He did that knowing he was going to suffer. He did that knowing there were going to be hard times and hardships. He did that knowing that it was going to create problems in his personal life, but he did it for the greater good. He did it to benefit society. He did it so that everyone else could live in a safer world. I think about these things in some small way. My work as a solution-focused professional is to try to make this world a better place. Like, solution-focused brief therapy, in my opinion, is the most positive, uplifting, inspiring, change-oriented way that you could talk to another person. And I want to teach every single person possible how to have these conversations because I know it makes a difference in people's lives. I do that because I think it makes the world a better place. I genuinely believe that. And I do that knowing that it's going to create hardships in my life. There are people that have said things, done things. There are things that come into my life that are unpleasant because of my commitment to do this work and being an African American doing this work. And voting is one way that you can participate in the conversation. It's one way that you can use your voice to make your world a safer place. You know, I voted early, so today's election day, but I voted early. And when I walked in to the voting area, I felt like history was coming with me. I thought about all of the suffering and all of the advocation that had to happen in order for me to have the right to walk in and cast my vote. I think about the American history with slavery, and I think about how slaves were not allowed to vote. And a lot of people don't know this, but once slavery was emancipated, black people were still not free. They were considered 3/5 of a man. If you ever watch the civil rights movement and you see people carrying picket signs that say, "I am a man," that's not just so that you would treat me as a man. That's also to be legally recognized as a man, as a whole human. The black vote was counted as 3/5 of a man. And as I walked in to cast my vote for candidates that I believed in this midterm election and the governor election and all the elections that take place in my local area of Texas, I thought about all of the people that came before me that couldn't do this really simple act and participate in democracy and participate in the community in which they come from. And I want you guys to remember how important it is to use your voice. I want you to remember all of the people who have suffered so that you could use your voice. And I want you to remember that sometimes we have to take actions that will make our community a better community. That's what democracy is all about. That's why so many people fought so hard to get it. And that's why I want you to remember it and honor it today. So my really simple request is go vote. Go participate in democracy in your local area, because that's when our society is at its strongest and best. Thank you guys for being here, man. I love you guys so much. Please, please, please help me reach more people. I really need you to share this podcast. Just click the link and share it on your social media platforms, or even just share it with one person that you think could benefit from hearing this message today. And don't forget, you can become a subscriber. You can do that wherever it is you enjoy listening to your podcast, whether it's Apple, Spotify, Simplecast, whatever it is. You can become a subscriber. You can also become a VIP listener by subscribing on Patreon and getting access to bonus episodes each and every week and a transcription from each and every episode. Thanks again for being here. Love you guys. Can't wait to see you tomorrow. If there is one lesson that I could give people on the path towards success and truly, honestly creating the life that you want to live, the biggest difference between the people that are living their dreams and the people who are not is the people who are living their dreams are action takers. I'm going to talk to you today about the power of taking initiative and being an action taker and why it matters so much. So welcome back to the Aha Moments, where every day I share the lessons I've learned in my work as a psychotherapist and in my life to inspire you to live your very best life. I'm your host, Elliott Connie, and so right now my favorite song in the whole world is a song called God Did by DJ Khaled, and the song features Rick Ross, Lil Wayne, and Jay-Z. Now, Jay-Z is my favorite rapper, and his verse in this song may be my most favorite verse ever. Certainly by Jay-Z, but maybe by any rapper ever. Like, I love this verse. And one of the things he says is, "I know it's crazy to you, even we're surprised." And what he's saying is, like, he has reached a level of success with him and his team that even he is surprised by. And in this verse, he talks about, like, the early part of his life, like how he was a drug dealer. And now he says, "I push Fenty," which is Rihanna's brand. That's $1 billion brand. And I think about that, and I think about the beginning of my career, because everyone starts from zero. Everyone starts from the bottom. You have to build it yourself. And the only way to do that is to take initiative, take action, and put some things in play. Now, once you're doing that, you won't know that it's the right idea. You won't know that it's the right way to go. You won't know if it's the right answer, but if you take action, then you can do the second most important thing, which is to make an adjustment. Like, when I think about my story, when I was in graduate school, my biggest dream was to have a private practice where there were multiple disciplines. So I was hoping in graduate school to meet, like, if at the time I wanted to build my career in working with children, and then I could meet someone else who wanted to work with couples. Then I could meet someone else who wanted to work with people who struggle with addictions. Then I meet someone else who wanted to do psychiatric assessments and have this office where everybody could come. And that was my goal. Like, I tried to create. That was my first idea for a private practice. Like, I tried to create it, and it did not take off. Like, it didn't work. And then I joined a group practice, and that didn't work. And then my third attempt is I opened my own practice and became one of the most sought after psychotherapists in the entire region. Like before COVID, like psychotherapy wasn't something that was prominently done on Zoom, so it wasn't really beyond where people could drive. So I was one of the most sought after psychotherapists in the area where my office was because I took initiative, because I was willing to make a mistake. The thing that gets in most people's way and stops them from being able to take initiative is they're afraid to make a mistake. They're afraid to do something wrong. I want you to get excited about making mistakes, because making mistakes means you're doing something hard. Making mistakes means you're doing something. Making mistakes means you're taking initiative. And if you are taking initiative, then you are on the path to success. Going back to Jay-Z, I don't know, I've never met him, but I don't know if Jay-Z would consider the early part of his career when he and his friends were selling drugs. I have to assume he would consider that a mistake. However, if it wasn't for that beginning, he wouldn't have found rap music. And if it wasn't for that beginning, he wouldn't have become what he ultimately became. He started to understand things and he started to grow. Another verse in that song, he says, it was all this internal pain that caused growth. You've got to go through stuff, everybody. Like, you've got to go through stuff. And sometimes that means making mistakes. Sometimes that means having an error. Sometimes it means doing something that doesn't work out. But then you go through things that lead towards growth. That's how you win. That's how you win, everyone. Like, that's how you get it. You get it by being committed and taking action and just realizing, I know I'm going to fall down, but I'm committed to picking myself back up. I'm going to build this thing, whatever it is. I'm going to move towards this project. I'm going to create some success. Because no matter what it is, I'm going to succeed. And that may mean failing and getting up and failing and getting up and failing and getting up until you're successful. My brand is now one of the biggest brands in the field of psychotherapy and getting bigger. I'm working on projects in LA where we're going to be making TV shows and all kinds of cool stuff. But it's because I fell and I got up and I fell and I got up and I fell and I got up and I fell and I got up until ultimately I was standing on the top of the mountain. And that's what I want for you. So I want you to take initiative. I want you to think of something that you really want to achieve and take action every day, even small action to get there. And I promise you, you will succeed. Thanks for being here so much, everybody. I love y'all. Please, please, please share this podcast on your social media platforms just by hitting that share button and share it with everybody. It would mean the world to me. Even if you just share it with one person that you think would benefit from hearing this message today, that would mean so much. And also become a subscriber. You can do that wherever it is you enjoy listening to your podcast, Apple, Simplecast, Spotify, wherever. You can even become a VIP listener by subscribing on Patreon, and then you get bonus episodes each week and a transcription of each and every episode. Man, I love you guys so much. Thanks for being here and allowing me to share with you. Can't wait to see you tomorrow. Relationships in life matter. I'm someone who really enjoys the relationships in my life. I enjoy the people in my life. I enjoy the people close to me. And one of the things I enjoy about them so much is they inspire me. They make me feel connected. They educate me. The people in my life enhance my life in ways that I honestly can't describe. And I've recently made a friend that I think is one of the greatest examples of taking initiative. And I'm going to talk about her today. So welcome back to the aha moment, where every day I share the lessons I've learned in my work as a psychotherapist and in my life to inspire you to live your very best life. Of course, I'm your host, Elliott Connie. I recently met a friend, like within this past year, I made a friend. Have you guys ever had a connection where you meet someone and you're like, for whatever reason, when you connect with that person, it just feels like you've always known them and they're just easy to talk to and there's something about you guys, you just kind of get on really, really well. And that's how it was when I met Tiffany Haddish. Tiffany Haddish is a very well-known comedian and actress, and I met her just from coming to LA and working on some TV projects and some things that I'm working on. We had some mutual friends, they connected us, and we get along. She is one of the most brilliant comedians that I'd ever seen. Last night, I went to the Laugh Factory in Hollywood with Tiffany. Now, Tiffany was not scheduled to perform that night. She was just going to kind of watch some of her comedian friends, and she was just going to kind of sit in. Now, because she's so well known and famous, when she walked in, the very first thing someone said to her was, "Are you going to take the stage tonight?" She said, "Well, maybe." And she tells me that she's working on new material for some project she's got going on in her life, and she's thinking about taking the stage and testing out some of this material. And then she goes up on the stage and ad-libs 58 minutes of brilliant comedy. I'd never seen anything like it. I was watching a master at work. And when she came off the stage, we started having a conversation, and we get in the car to leave, and I'm just talking to her, and I was like, where did you get that? And she talked about the beginning of her career. She started her career at a comedy camp in 1997 when she was like 16, 17 years old. And from that point forward, she said, I wanted to master this craft. So I took as many stages as I could. She was homeless at different times, living in her car at different times, really, really struggling. But her goal was to continue to take initiative and build the skill of being able to make people laugh and tell a joke appropriately and get her timing right, her tone, her pace, learn how to tell a story in a way that leads to people being entertained. And she said, I just kept building it and building it and building it until I felt like I could get good at it. And the culmination of that is now having the ability to get up on a stage and ad-lib for 58 minutes. And I mean, she probably could have gone on longer. But it was brilliant. It was literally like watching a master at work. And I realized that most people think the pathway towards success and or genius is just having a talent. Like having a talent, whether that's an athletic talent or a comedic talent or an entertainment talent or whatever it might be. But Tiffany is like what happens when you take talent, combine it with effort, and then develop the courage to take initiative. And to develop the commitment to take initiative, to develop the ability to I'm just going to stick to this pathway. I mean, she is now one of the most successful comedians of all time. I think if you made a Mount Rushmore of comedians, you'd have to consider putting Tiffany Haddish on that Mount Rushmore. She may very well be the greatest female comedian to ever live. She may very well be the greatest comedian, regardless of gender, to ever live. And how she got there was by taking initiative throughout her career. Something else she does is she takes acting lessons. She won't mind that I say this, I'm sure. She takes acting lessons, and she will go to acting classes, and people will say, what are you doing here? Shouldn't you be off making $100 million movies? Which she has done 6 or 7 times. And she says, she'll tell the people who ask her that, I'm able to make $100 million movies because I keep working on my craft in acting classes like this. So, I want you guys to remember, the secret sauce to brilliance, mastery, and really, really taking your career to a new level is being able to understand that you got to take initiative. You can't get better if you sit on the sidelines. You got to take initiative. So I want you, the listener, to think about something you could take initiative on and just stay committed to the process and become a master. Thank you guys so much for being here. I swear, I really mean it when I say this. I love you guys for listening. It means the world to me. Please hit that share button and share this podcast on your social media platform so I can reach more people, or even share it with one person in your life that you think could benefit from hearing this message today. And don't forget to subscribe. You can do that at Apple, Spotify, Simplecast, anywhere you enjoy listening to podcasts. You can also become a VIP listener by subscribing on Patreon, and you get access to bonus episodes, including bonus episodes each and every week, and also transcriptions from each and every episode. Thanks so much for being here. Love you guys. See you tomorrow. Today, I want to tell you the true secret to getting things done. And literally the number one skill, that once you have this skill, you can achieve anything. But you've got to take initiative. You've got to be able to get the ball rolling. But once you apply this skill, you can do anything. And that's what I'm going to talk about here today. So welcome back to the Aha Moments, where every day I share the lessons I've learned in my work as a psychotherapist and in my life to inspire you to live your very best life. Of course, I'm your host, Elliott Connie, and I really genuinely want to give you the number one skill. So if I'm in Los Angeles and I have a goal to run to New York City, I believe that's over 3,000 miles, but if my goal is to run to New York City, the only skill that I need in order to make that happen is perseverance. But here's the thing about perseverance. In order to activate perseverance, I first have to take one step, have to take initiative. If I'm willing to take the very first step in my jog to New York City, and I decide no matter what, I am not going to quit. I'll rest when I'm tired. I'll eat when I'm hungry. I'll sleep when necessary. But I am not going to stop. Eventually, you'll get there. Maybe you'll get there in world record time, or maybe you won't. But if you just decide, I'm going to take the first step and not quit, any goal is attainable. But I'm telling you guys, what holds so many people back is they don't take the first step. They want to wait until the timing's right. They want to wait until the situation is perfect. They want to wait until everything is optimal. They want to wait and wait and wait. And then it turns out you never take action. It turns out you never take initiative. It turns out you never take that first step. And when you never take the first step, you cannot achieve greatness. You cannot achieve the goal you set out to achieve. You cannot become the thing that you are wanting to become. And it doesn't matter what it is. Like I just gave us a crazy example, like someone who wants to run from New York City or from Los Angeles to New York City. But it could be becoming a doctor. It could be starting a business. It could be losing weight. I mean, it literally could be anything. But without making the decision that no matter how hard it gets, no matter how difficult it gets, I'm going to not quit, you can't get there. But it all starts with taking that first step. And stop waiting for the situation to be perfect. Stop waiting for the timing to be right. Stop waiting for the variables to all be in line. Just do it. Nike has the best phrase, in my opinion, best phrase ever. Just do it. Because you can't be great unless you just do it. But here's the thing. When you take initiative, you have to know, like, it's not going to work. You have to know that I'm going to have to, do some edits and amendments. Like I've written 5 books, and every time I've written a book, like the first draft is just the taking initiative part. The real writing is when you go through and you start shaving pieces off and you start editing the book and you start amending chapters, you start moving things around, you start eliminating chapters, you realize you need to add a chapter. Like that's actually the real part. But you can't get there if you don't take initiative. You've got to be willing to make a mistake. You've got to be willing to fail. You've got to be willing to take an L. Like, that's just part of it. And initiative takers, those are the people that do a thing, and it's new to them. It's something that they don't always do, but they're willing to screw up, mess up, and fail, because then you know what they do? They take initiative to correct it. And then they correct it, and it's a little bit better the next time. And then they take initiative, and before you know it, they've got something perfected. They got something harnessed. They got something that is so tight and so proper and so ready that it changes their lives. It makes them successful. It makes them rich. It makes them famous. It makes their goal accomplished. It makes them a doctor. It makes them a lawyer. It makes them an athlete. Whatever it is, they take it to the next level, and it makes them an achiever. But the thing that holds so many of you back is you're just not willing to take initiative because you've been taught that if it's not perfect, I can't share it. If it's not perfect, it's not ready. But it's not that way, guys. Whatever your dream is, whatever your goal is, just take one step in the direction of that goal and promise yourself you will not quit and you will get there. That's what I want you guys to do. That's what I want you guys to remember. That's what I want you guys to hold on to. If I take one step towards my goal each day, eventually I succeed, and the world rewards initiative takers. Thank you guys, man. Thank you for hanging in there. This has been a great week. Happy Friday. Hope you're all super excited to go into the weekend. Before you do, please hit that share button and share this podcast on your social media platforms, or even share it with one person that you think would hear this and it would make a difference in their lives. I really, really want to reach more people, and I can't do that without your help. Also, don't forget to become a subscriber. You can do that on Apple, Spotify, Simplecast, wherever it is you listen to podcasts and wherever you enjoy listening to podcasts. You can also become a VIP listener, and you can do that on Patreon, and you'll get bonus episodes and transcriptions from every episode. Thanks so much for being here, guys. I love you so much, and I can't wait to see you on Monday. Happy weekend.